Hello, I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. I just wanted to jump on and make a quick video about home inspections. Home inspections tend to be one of the most contentious parts of a real estate transaction, even if both parties do have relatively realistic expectations going in, or if the home is in great condition. Sometimes we all know that deals can fall apart when it comes to the home inspection, even if the transaction is an as-is transaction. And so I just wanted to talk about some points for expectation setting with both buyers and sellers, and so that you can find success with your home sale, even through a home inspection. The first thing is that it's so important for sellers to be truthful and accurate and honest about everything that they know that's going on with their house. If you ever had a previous leak or a previous issue, or you've had to treat for termites before, it's really important to disclose all of that information, because likely the buyer is going to find out that there was a previous issue anyway, and that's a bump in the road that you can avoid if you are upfront about past issues ahead of time. And it's just less conversation to have and less time for the buyer to think about things that may or may not be wrong with the house at the current time. Another thing that's really important for sellers is to have the expectation that just because there's something in your home, let's say that there's something that's bothered you for a really long time. There's something about your porch that you don't like, or there's something about your chimney, or there's a crack in your ceiling that's been there forever. Something that might really bother you may not bother the buyer. But on the flip side, something that you don't care about at all, like you have some loose tiles, or like me in my really old house, the floor is not straight and I have crooked floors everywhere. Just because something doesn't bother you as the seller about your home, a buyer might very well take issue with it. And it might come as a surprise to you because you've never thought about your house that way. That's one of the biggest things that we see with home inspections, is something that the seller never even thought about really upsets or bothers the buyer, and they would like some sort of resolution. And so you just want to remember that the buyer is coming from a totally fresh perspective on your home. They haven't lived there for years. They haven't put the effort and the fixes and the repairs into it that you have, but they also have their own life experiences and their own context that they're coming from. And so they might have different priorities than you do when it comes to the condition of their home that they're purchasing. So that's another thing, is just remembering that everybody's coming to the deal with a different expectation. And also from the buyer's perspective, what that means is, as a buyer, you are approaching somebody about making repairs or giving credits for something, and it's a home that they've lived in for, it could be a couple years, or it could be 20 or 30 years. They've had their own experiences with the property. And so not everybody is approaching this from the same page. So sometimes sellers can get defensive, which is, if somebody says there's something wrong with your house, that of course is going to make you defensive, especially if you love it. But you just want to remember as a buyer to have reasonable expectations, and that home inspections are about safety hazards and safety issues, and things that are not working. So just because something is outdated, if your water heater is 10 years old and you think it only has a couple years left, but it's still running, it's not really fair to ask the seller to replace it. If there's a hole in the roof, absolutely. But if something is outdated, then you probably should buy a house that's more updated if things that are dated bother you as a buyer. So it's just kind of all those things. We really want everybody to have a great home buying experience. We want you to be safe and happy in your new home. And we really try and guide both our buyers and sellers successfully through home inspection negotiations. But I just wanted to give out some pointers to help everybody be more educated and informed when they're going into the home inspection process. And then hopefully a resolution can be reached that works for everybody. So if you have any questions about home inspections, I'm always happy to answer and talk to you about it. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your week. And thank you for tuning in.